Never in the history of Nigeria would I ever have envisioned, Kayode, and our audience, that tax will be this divisive. I've never seen tax being divisive. The issue of taxation. The Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, led by Tawo Yudele, has come up with some reforms and submitted 4 bills to the National Assembly for consideration. They passed second reading, but it has not sat well with a couple of people, especially those from the north. And so that is the portion that has caused the biggest controversy. If you look at what it says, notwithstanding any formula that may be prescribed by any other law, the net revenue accruing by virtue of the operation of Chapter 6 of the Nigerian Tax Act shall be distributed as follows. A, 10% to the federal government, 55% to the state government and federal capital territory, 35% to the local government. This is the controversial line, provided that 60% of the amount standing to the credit of states and local government shall be distributed among them on the basis of derivation. That is where, in Nigeria, we say that's the cocoa. All right. That is where the controversy is. So that's why we have the right man to speak about this. Is the President, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Samuel. I believe he joins us via Zoom. Sir, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
I was talking to my colleague Kayode, and I said I've never seen a policy that requires multiple explanation like this policy because of this derivation formula. Maybe you can bring us up to speed on why this is as divisive as it is.
Okay, thank you very much. The Economic Stabilization Bill, which comprises of the 4 bills, is actually a major introduction, or if I may say, a landmark intervention within the tax space in Nigeria. And you can't talk of taxation without talking of the economic itself. So it is as important as in my lifetime, and even as a tax practitioner, this is the first time this kind of massive intervention is coming from government. And I tell you, it is overdue. It is needed for Nigeria to move forward. Over the years, as an institute, that is Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, we'll be advising the political leaders as to the unrealistic nature of financing Nigeria economy with oil revenue. Mono product economy will not help a country like Nigeria. And if you look at possibly the first 5 or 10 prosperous countries in the world, they are not relying on natural resource or resources. But in Nigeria, putting all our eggs in one basket, relying on revenue from oil, has brought us to this sorry state. So it is a good one that the government is looking at this to make revenue from taxes a way of financing public expenditure. And we dare say that revenue taxes is the most sustainable way of financing government activities. So it's a good one. A lot of benefits that will not only bring money into the government purse, but also make business to thrive. Because we must not be fixated with the fact that each time we talk of taxation, we talk of revenue collection. Taxation is a tool of even economic rearrangement, if I can use that phrase.
Right.
And to the extent that you can also use taxation to redistribute income. So there are a lot of things to speak to that in this bill. And we also have a way of addressing the problem, the age-long problem of ease of doing business being addressed in this bill. So to that extent, we believe once this bill is passed with all the proposed amendments, with all the intervention from various stakeholders across the country, which is actually needed. You can't have a bill of this magnitude without various interests coming to express their opinion. Well, so once all the opinions are brought on board, I believe Nigeria will be better for it.
Well, Mr. Agbelu, I know you'll also be playing some role in this build-up. It's past second reading. It's been taken to the committees, and there'll be a public hearing, and we'll see what eventually comes out of it. So there's a lot of work, as you said. But on the face value, what you've seen, by the way, 4 bills, lots of provisions, but that one of the provisions causing the issue is what Jeffrey just read, attribution versus derivation. From what you've read, Mr. Agbelu, does this bill or these sets of bills, does it put any state at a disadvantage? If it does, how? If it doesn't, how should people read that particular section then?
Well, let me come in this way. Derivation is not 100% an economic matter. It has the social and political angle. So for us in CITN, it must be looked from that perspective, not entirely from economic angle. Because I was in your station about a week ago, and I said, if Nigeria must move forward, no state will win if every other state is not winning. And if you look at the rural-urban migration, if you look at the social dislocation in the country, it only speaks to the fact that everybody must be brought on board. I will also look at it from this angle. We are looking at the activities, the 90% that is going to both the state and the local government is to be distributed 60% derivation, 20% population, and 20% equality. Now, it is so important in order to make all parties win. We can also suggest that we look at those states with the most negative climate challenge. And we say, okay, let's give them a certain percentage from this amount. So it is not a bad thing that people are talking about the derivation. It is only to make everybody relevant and everybody to get on this cake. And it is not to be looked, I repeat again, from only economic perspective. Political, social aspect must be taken into consideration, and this rests solely within the political leaders. So we advise constructive engagement at that level, so that once this is done, the other major aspect that we actually bring a lot of sanity into Nigerian tax space, we can get the benefit. And I mentioned earlier, apart from the fact that this is to bring more money into the covers of government, which is not in the immediate, because once the moment these bills are implemented, a lot of reduction will be coming to the government purse, because there are a lot of variables that are being resolved in favor of companies, taxpayers. So that will mean in the immediate future, there will be reduction into what will be going to the government purse. But as we go on, and as we use the benefit of this reduction and sincerity of government to at least want to reduce what they collect from people and to make life easier for them, which we see a lot in this bill, then we'll be creating the culture where people will want to voluntarily comply. And voluntary compliance in taxation is far better than enforcement. So we see the possibility of this leading to voluntary compliance. And of course, it will also give opportunity for many people to come into the tax net, because many people are not in the tax net as we speak because of the hostile way the existing law has been drafted, or the major one, which is the lack of trust, the trust deficit between the populace and the government. Once this is made clear to the taxpayer by virtue of the implementation of this bill, we expect many people to come into the tax net and make their own fair contribution by paying their taxes, and of course, the revenue can go up. But in the immediate future, by virtue of what we have in this bill, the revenue to government, particularly federal government, will be declining.
All right, Mr. Agbeli, let's talk about that political disagreement. We had Governor Zulum yesterday speaking about this, and they've been advocating for more time. And this bill, is there a merit to this bill, for instance, is there a merit to their argument as far as this is concerned? Because from what we see and what we've observed, it feels like they are saying this has skewed from the population advantage to the productivity advantage, if you look at it. So usually we had 50% for equality, and then population 30, and then derivation 20. Now that has been changed to equality and population now being 20/20 and derivation 60. Is there a merit in their own argument?
Well, I believe there's merit. And whoever wants to discuss should be given the opportunity to discuss. I was in Maiduguri 2 days ago, and Governor Zulum is somebody who should be taken seriously. The man is doing a fantastic job. The man is actually, by virtue of what he's doing in Maiduguri, is an advocate. You can use what he's doing. I saw it live. I was there, peaceful and very good things happening in Borno. So that kind of a man can be a kind of face to even advocate for tax payment, because you can see what you give to government as it is being used. So discussion must be, I agree. And I also, as an institute, I led my team to also kind of create more awareness. You agree with me, ordinarily without this bill, taxation is technical. It's very technical. And if ordinarily taxation is technical, with this magnitude of change, there will be need for a lot of people to take their time to understand line by line, word for word, and the implication. So do we need more time for sensitization? I agree. And I must also say that even as an institute, we are part of the committee that came up with this bill at one stage or the other. And I can say that there has always been, has been a kind of sensitization even in the past 1 year.
Right.
But my reading is that now that sensitization has not occurred at the political level. And I am also believing that the committee members may not be the one to talk to the political leaders. The political leaders must talk to themselves, right, and they understand the language before they get before the buying will come in.
Well, Mr. Agbeli, so listening to some of the political leaders, you get that sense that a lot of them have not read the bill. Clearly, they've not read the bill. Sometimes what they speak to are things they were told, and again, we have to raise concerns about those around them, their aides, because, hey, you can't expect them to read all these things, but you expect that their aides are able to give them the accurate information and interpretation. But when you hear some of them speak, you're like, you've certainly not read this thing. But I want us to wind down on this point, Mr. Agbeli, and we started talking about, the survey that was conducted, that less than 20% of Nigerians actually believe in paying taxes, right? So just less than 2 out of 10 would pay taxes. The rest believe, one, I'm paying taxes anyway, so why pay to the government that I don't trust, that I don't see them using the little we're paying for anything, and hey, there's corruption and all of that. And that's a conversation we need to be having as well. Okay, allow the politicians talk about this, but speak to what concerns us as a people. So do you think we're sacrificing that very important part on the altar of derivation and all of that? Shouldn't that be also something that we're speaking to?
I agree that there should be things we are speaking to. I'll give an example. Before, as we speak, we have states where you have about 65 different types of taxes, and nobody should be proud of that. I keep on saying that, and that is being reduced to about 9 through this proposal. Now, how come that the system allows non-state actors to collect taxes? And even when this bill is signed into law, we need to pay attention to that. Because these non-state actors who have held sway before now and who have benefited from the taxes they are collecting illegally from the system, we need the political leaders to call them to order, to make sure that they leave the road, to make sure that they allow business to thrive. Otherwise, the benefit arising from this bill will not be there for us. So this should be of great concern to all of us. We know as an institute that some of the political leaders, in the course of campaigning or running for an office, the people who sponsor them, who back them up, when they get to the office, they give them, okay, you can move to the east or west of the state, go and collect whatever you can collect to recover what you have spent. That will not work with this bill. So we also need to sensitize the political leaders, particularly at the state and local government, that the practices by non-state actors is not helping anybody, because the money we are getting or the money those people are collecting is not going to the official purse. And that is one of the reasons why our tax to GDP rate is low. So who benefits when few people, possibly because of their collection, possibly because of the power of whatever they are collecting money that is meant for everybody. So we need to, this time around, and I know that is not a fault that is that we can put at the doorstep of the federal government. It's mostly at the doorstep of various state government, of various local government. This must stop.
All right.
The government must protect the citizens from the non-state actor. And this is one critical area we must not overlook in this discussion.
All right, we must thank you so much, Mr. Samuel Agbelu, President, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. And as Kayode said, the governors and all of these gentlemen must read that bill, because if you look at that bill, it favors both the guy who is a production hub and the guy who is a consumption rendezvous. Everybody has a piece of the pie. But thank you, sir, for coming on the program. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we will take a quick break. When we come back, we have our guest already right here in the studio. His name, Badi Smart, joining us. Yes, that's him. Joining us just a moment. We'll be chatting with the Nollywood superstar in just a moment. Stay with us.